Okay, here's Module 31 about fundamentally accountability. It's interesting, although we think roles, accountability, and authority are all three important, over the years it's become really clear that accountability is the mother lode in this whole thing. That's what you want to get straight. In terms of the organizing system, there's where we are, about to wrap up. In case people aren't clear about what we're talking about, the role is your function, and I'm using some athletic metaphors here. You see this goalie playing soccer or a quarterback in American football. So the function is to do that job. And the accountability are the results you and others expect you to deliver, which means play to win the game. The authority is the power granted you by others, for example, by the coach, to direct the other players when you're on the field, whatever your function is. And you could be telling someone else move a little to the right, or you could be calling the plays in the quarterback, as this American football metaphor shows. I think of two failure modes. The first one I call the first grade soccer team, and you've all seen this. Everybody runs along following the ball, and at the end they're all exhausted and they all fall down dead tired. The metaphor in a work context is too many meetings, too much inclusion, too much email. Does the same thing, leaves everybody exhausted. The remedy, some discipline and tightly manage what's going on in these forums, and here you see a team spread out in a more effective way. The second failure mode is lack of team level accountability. And so the metaphor would be if when something went wrong, like in this case in American football fumbles, the team members stand around screaming at each other about whose fault it is rather than assuming accountability, which means to go for the ball. In work, it'd be blaming others instead of assuming accountability. Same kind of metaphor. The remedy is to assume accountability for whatever it takes for team success. Some years ago, the NASA deputy administrator called me. He said, "Charlie, you know, we had a person die at Kennedy Space Center, and the administrator and I were wondering your view on what our accountability is." And I said, "Well, Rex, if you put good managers in place and made sure they put people that knew what they were doing and had good processes there, I don't think you've got accountability for the fact the accident occurred," which is like the fumble analogy here. What you are accountable for, though, is where this goes forward, what happens to the people who work with this person, their work team, their family, the agency. You're accountable for picking up the fumble and doing what you can to make things right again. It's a great film clip about the Apollo program. That's our friend Gene Kranz again. Apollo had an early disaster. They had a high oxygen-rich environment in the module, and they had the crew in there. They're doing a test at the Cape, and spark came and killed all the crew. They could not possibly get out in time. And you can watch the movie and see him talk about their responsibility, their accountability, even though he was 1,000 miles away or something. Well, 500 miles away. So I want to talk to you a little bit about processes. I learned this from Jet Propulsion Lab. We use this ourselves in 4D System Company. They had the Mars failures, and they instituted a system because what they understood was in project management, processes are everything. So they had defined 44 processes for project management. And every organization has processes because without processes, you couldn't do anything. They designated expert process owners, and I love this idea. These are not outsiders. I'm not a big fan of the Six Sigma approach because I've seen it not work too many times. What happens here is you get people who know what they're doing. They make you the owner of the process, and that person optimizes it, talks about it, gives it to people, answers questions about it. Could be something as simply as a monthly report you put in, or something much more important like how you manage the performance and track with basic management systems or risk management systems. And so if I do this slide in the workshop, if I've got time, I do it. If I'm late, I skip it. It's an intact team. Let them go ahead and write down the processes they should assign owners for on a 3x5 card. So it's a pretty quick little section. Here's the actions to take. There's one really important idea here. I believe that you absolutely have to have a documented, signed statement of your roles, accountability, and authority, particularly your accountability. And I think it's, if it doesn't exist and your supervisor hasn't done it, then you need to do it. This is something you can't leave to someone else. You need to take responsibility for something that's so crucial to the definition of your success. And it's a little fun chart. It's about, I live in the southwestern United States, and these Dakota Indians and Lakota Indians are for many, many centuries been near where my house is. So when the Southwestern American Indians discover they're riding a dead horse, they take responsible action and dismount. Unfortunately, we do other things like use a stronger whip, appoint a committee to study the dead horse, visit other teams, see how they ride dead horses, revisit the performance requirements for dead horses, request additional funding to increase the horse's performance, hire contractors to ride the dead horse, then my favorite, promote the dead horse to a supervisory position. Our standard takeaway chart: lack of clarity about yours and others' RAAs is not okay. I'm actually suggesting here that you take responsibility for making sure your teammates are doing this too. Go talk to them. Do not let this go unaddressed. Some years ago, we developed a one-day, it's about a day, maybe 2/3 of a day, RAA definition workshop. You can read about it in the 40 Systems User's Guide, or we can do it for you. This turned out to be one of our most popular offerings. It's a real easy way to put this issue to bed once and for all. And next in 32, we'll go into the context shifting worksheet. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye-bye.